the source of everything.
This is...
The source of everything.
They say she's a monster. That she can peer inside you, into the very depths of your soul. That she can become those you hate, those you fear, those you love. And they call her Jenova.
Something I think most fans of Final Fantasy VII would agree on is that we all want more lore about Jenova, and I think the recent entries in the FF7 compilation have been delivering on that so far. Hello everyone, it has been a long time since my last video in my Project Return series, a series of video essays where I analyze FF7's story through my lens as a Palestinian, commenting on the political subtext within the game. As an update, Chapter 3 is finally in production and will hopefully come out soon. I decided to rearrange my original order, so Chapter 3 will be one where I mainly focus on looking at one character in particular, Aerith. But first, I wanted to make this smaller video, which expands on the allegory I discussed in Chapter 2, with new lore from Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis and Rebirth. In Chapter 2, I made the claim that Jenova is an allegory for settler colonialism, with her abilities, backstory, and even her name being metaphors for different facets related to settler colonialism. Those facets being expropriation, appropriation, dehumanization, ethnic cleansing, political oppression, and gaslighting, along with some type of ideology that justifies doing all of that. Jenova, being an alien who corrupted the land, spread a virus, and killed or displaced the native Cetra population, is the most direct support for that allegory. But in addition, Jenova's plan to claim the world for herself, which was later adopted by her descendant, is indicative of expropriation. Her ability to shapeshift into the people she encounters is a metaphor for appropriation. She also turned the Cetra into monsters, a metaphor for dehumanization. She gaslights people using her illusions, and her use of silence and stop is, well, kind of an on-the-nose metaphor for the silencing of dissent by colonizers. And finally, even her name, much like the names of the two major villains, Sephiroth and Shinra, is a facet of colonialism, given certain religious ideologies that promote colonialism. Ideologies like the Doctrine of Discovery, Manifest Destiny, and Zionism. This interpretation was mostly based on the limited knowledge we know of Jenova told to us by Ifalna in the original game, and looking at it in the context with the messaging of the game. However, recent additions to her lore make the allegory even clearer, because we learned that Jenova does not simply use her shapeshifting and illusory abilities to appropriate and gaslight. Jenova is actually a master at dividing and conquering by using her abilities for political subterfuge, and getting the natives to fight themselves, just like a colonizer would do. One of the things that Ifalna told us was that the calamity from the sky would infect Cetra with the virus, which drove the Cetra mad and turned them into monsters, before going after another clan and infecting them with the virus as well. Now we finally have an example of how that happened. In Chapter 2 of The First Soldier, we learn about Igara, the land to the south of Wutai, and the now ruined village of Robio. When Jenova first landed on the planet, sometime after her encounter with the people of the Nullis Pole, at least a part of her traveled to Igara. The Cetra clan in Igara simply referred to her as the Beast. Their leader, Dachau, and 4 of their strongest warriors eventually defeated the Beast, but in the battle they unleashed a fire to seal her away, which resulted in the land being made uninhabitable. Dachau later rejoined his people who fled north, founding the city of Wutai. However, 1500 years later, another calamity hit Igara. Cetra from Wutai decided to return to Igara in order to recultivate the land, given that's what the Cetra were known for, and they established the village of Robio. It was there that a master craftsman named Masamune was somehow infected by Jenova despite her defeat centuries prior. After he crafted a sword with his namesake that is somehow connected with Jenova too, the people of Robio became enthralled with it, desired its powers, and began fighting each other. Masamune himself also became enthralled, eventually deciding to kill everyone in the village and casting the land ablaze once again. Robio would never be repopulated again, as the people of Wutai deemed it cursed. FF7 Rebirth further expands on the Cetra's history with Jenova at the Temple of the Ancients. There we learn that the fall of the Cetra was a result of the fear of humans who attacked them, although the Cetra implied that fear could have been sown by Jenova. It is interesting that even the Cetra, despite having access to the knowledge of the planet, are not even sure whether that is the case or not. More insight into Jenova's tactics is provided in a minigame, of all places. In the lore of Queen's Blood, we learn about the Shadowblood Queen, who was once a benevolent queen who ruled in the land of modern-day Gongaga before abruptly becoming an oppressive ruler. Her brutal reign continued until the Emerald Witch united the people into fighting against her, sealing her away. All the details that point to the Shadowblood Queen being Jenova are outside the scope of this video. I mean, the lore of Queen's Blood is basically a microcosm of the entire plot of FF7 in general, including Cloud's inner turmoil, and I could go on a lot of tangents. Anyway, while it's left somewhat vague, an explanation that makes the most sense to me is that the Shadowblood Queen was a Cetran queen who was killed and impersonated by Jenova or infected by Jenova, which would explain her abrupt switch. She likely sowed discord, causing the non-Cetran humans to go to war with the Cetra. Their Emerald Witch was probably a Cetra who united the people, both Cetra and non-Cetra, against the Shadowblood Queen. This will provide clarity to what was discussed in the Temple of the Ancients, although it could also be that different Cetra clans had different experiences, and the story of Queen's Blood relates only to the clan in Gongaga. In the modern day, Jenova is still doing the same thing, although on an even bigger scale. With her legacy, Sephiroth, at the helm, Jenova in Rebirth has impersonated Glenn Lodbrok, and has become a leader in modern-day Wutai's government. Shinra was at war with Wutai 7 years before the events of the game, but a ceasefire agreement was reached. During the events of Rebirth, however, Glenova confronts Rufus, sowing seeds of discord and instigating a new war with Wutai. By the end of the game, a declaration of war is officially made, Jenova again succeeding at getting humans to fight with each other and destroy the planet in the process. The parallels with the story in The First Soldier are apparent. Just as the Cetra Vigara fought the Beast 2,000 years ago for the sake of their homeland, their modern-day Wutaian counterparts must fight the world's current colonizer, a weapons manufacturing power company. And just as Jenova pulled the strings in the past, Sephiroth is pulling the strings in the present. But it was also Shinra that reintroduced Jenova back into the world in the first place. In a way, Shinra is also Jenova's legacy, as their oppressive policies result in destruction of the land and the death of native populations. I love these additions to the game's lore as they really do solidify the political subtext of Jenova. While many see her as a simple world destroyer or eldritch horror, I find it way more intriguing that Jenova is conniving and deceitful. She doesn't simply usurp the planet from the natives directly through her own mindless violence, although there is plenty of that too. Rather, she sows seeds of discord, she creates unreliable histories that even the Cetra themselves are unsure of, and she pits different groups against each other so that they do the dirty work for her. She basically creates her own version of propaganda and psychological warfare. You can see the intentionality of the developers in emphasizing the significance of this alien colonizer down to the dialogue spoken by the characters. In Remake, we hear a shocked Aerith refer to her as the source of everything. In the Queen's Blood story I mentioned previously, Regina uses those same words. Here it is, the source of everything. Every plot in the story, every source of strife in the game's world, Jenova is the source of everything. So often do fans of FF7 separate the political aspects of Shinra from the horror sci-fi aspects of Sephiroth and Jenova, but I think that is a disservice to the story being told. FF7, probably the most out of any Final Fantasy game, tells a very cohesive story with Shinra, Sephiroth, and Jenova all being different manifestations of the same thing: colonial aspirations that lead to environmental destruction. And the developers included so many details that connect these villains and their aspirations to each other.
Like the ancients, we've harnessed the power of Mago. Are they out there watching us? Waiting for us to join them? in some blessed corner of the world. A green inverted land where boundless Mako energy will provide for our every need. Shinra is working for you to fulfill the hope of the ancients and lead us to that promised land. We shall not rest until our dream is realized.
With respect, sir, I don't see how...
words, Reeve. Neo Midgar.
In their promised land, we will build a new Mako-powered metropolis.
Mr. President! Regardless, the plan is already in motion. Our promised land will become reality.
I am even reminded by Sephiroth's line in Advent Children.
What I want, Cloud, is to sail the darkness of the cosmos with this planet as my vessel. Just as my mother did long ago. Then one day we'll find a new planet, and on its soil we'll create a shining future.
What about this planet?
Well, that's up to you, Cloud.
Then one day we will find a new planet, and on its soil we will create a shining future. I mean, can you get any clearer of a statement of the dreams of the colonizer? I would love to hear your opinions. What do you think of the additions to Jenova's lore so far? What more do you want to see? And are there any details from the series that I haven't mentioned that you think enhances this interpretation? Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear more about the politics of FF7, check out chapters 1 and 2 of my series, Project Return. And please feel free to like and subscribe to promote this video and stay updated for future videos in the series.
If that's what you want. Thank you.